Hi, PECO holders. This is Crane, the host of the Amun Inside Crypto podcast. We are back with finally a last week in PECO. We're talking about all the things that are going on in the Polygon ecosystem. Before we get started today, let's have a quick look at coin market cap. We can see Bitcoin is at $90,091. We can see Ethereum is at $1,018, BNB at $208, XRP at 31 cents, Cardano at 44 cents, Solana at $31.64, Dogecoin at 6 cents. The market has been all over the place the last few days. It was looking quite up at the start of the week. It is now towards the end of the week. I'm recording this on the 30th of June 2022. So things are not looking fantastic at the moment. We have to stay positive, have to look at things in a positive way. So today we've got a bit of a news. So I've hinted at this, right? And we've talked about this in a sort of a indirect way. A few things are happening with our index tokens and PECO as a whole. PECO is going to be the first one, but we'll get into that. PECO's current price is $1.78. It's been all over the place this week with a bottom of $1.81. It's gone up to $2.16 and it's come all the way back down to $1.78 at the moment. The total market cap of PECO is $149,160 and no discounts at the moment. PECO is currently made up of 63.12% gains and 36.88% wrapped MATIC. So I've told you guys before, we have listened to your feedback, which is why there is a current governance vote ongoing at the moment to expand the constituents for PECO and the way we use the methodology. So we're going to talk about that in a few seconds. So this is PECO at the moment. If the governance vote passes today, so the governance vote will finish in about 7 hours my time. By the time you watch this video, it'll already be over. So hopefully everyone participated in it. If you missed it or you didn't participate in it, I've got to tell you, guys should be following our Twitter. If you guys didn't participate in the governance vote, if you forgot about it, you didn't know about it, I apologize for that, but you should be participating in our Discord, in our Telegram. You should be following us on Twitter as well. You should be following me or Jason or some of the other people on the Amun team. All of these people will usually tweet out about this sort of stuff, but it's also understand, right, with the way the market is, it's boring at the moment. You don't want to be checking your portfolio or checking your Twitter or looking at crypto Twitter. So it's still a good idea, at least every few days, 2 to 3 days, jump into Telegram, say, hey, Korean, how's it going? How's your week? I wouldn't mind that. But yeah, please keep an eye on that. So we'll look into the two Medium articles at the moment if you didn't have a look at those. So let's first have a look at the general ecosystem index methodology article. This is authored by Carson. You guys would have met Carson as well. He was on the Amun Inside Crypto podcast, one of the most successful episodes we've ever had. If you've never met him, if you're new to Amun, you want to listen to who is this person, Carson Brown, you can go to the Amun Inside Crypto podcast and you can search for Carson. You'll find his episode. He's also on Discord. He's also on Telegram as well. So keep an eye out for it. So let's go through this. It says, as ecosystems grow and develop, so must our index token methodology. By improving our existing index methodology, current methodology can be found here. So you can have a look at that here. We can expand our index tokens to have more diversified number of constituents while also reducing the price impact incurred during rebalances. So the objective of this new methodology, expand the eligible universe to include up to 10 tokens, add a bumper constraint rules to prevent sudden exclusion of existing tokens to be included in a future iteration. So in the future, they want to add this rule, reduce price impact from inclusion and rebalance. So remember, right, when we rebalance at Amun, right, we are paying the gas fees for the rebalancing. And sometimes, like on a network like Ethereum with our DFI token, that can be pretty expensive. A token is considered eligible for index conclusion if it meets all of the below criteria. Must be listed on DeFi Llama with TVL data. So sometimes you might have new projects or GameFi projects where they have a token, but there is no TVL. Must be listed on CoinGecko with market capitalization data. Must have over $10,000 of liquidity in a single liquidity pool. Must have existed for at least 2 months. This criteria will be measured by looking at their liquidity pair creation dates in integrated DEXs. DEXs is decentralized exchanges. Below is a simplified summary of the improved index methodology. Within any specific ecosystem, the methodology looks at all tokens in that ecosystem that also meet the eligible universe criteria. These tokens are then ranked by market capitalization. The top 10 tokens are then considered by methodology for inclusion and is assigned a market capitalization weight. Ecosystem tokens solved for Solana, MATIC for Polygon, etc. are assigned a fixed weight of up to 50%. As ecosystems mature over time, we expect a lower fixed weight of ecosystem tokens and make room for other promising projects. So you guys just saw that over here, right? MATIC has its fixed weight over there, 36% of our current PECO index. Next, a maximum allowed weight for each token is calculated. This metric takes the below variables into account: size of the largest liquidity pool for that individual token, the estimated rebalance amount, the token's market cap weight, the AUM of the basket. The goal of this maximum weight limit is to reduce the potential slippage during two events: index construction, when the tokens are initially included in the index. So if the governance vote is passed, this is what this is talking about. This event's when PECO's rebalance and it's constructed with the new methodology. Monthly rebalancings. A more detailed explanation of how MOR is calculated is available below. Once each token's MOR has been calculated, each token is then assigned the lesser value of the two weights: market cap weight versus maximum allowed weight. The lesser of the two weights becomes the token's initial weight. If a token's market cap is greater than its maximum allowed weight, then the extra funds are recursively redistributed to the other tokens until the assigned weights for each tokens add up to 100%. Only after this recursive process is concluded do we arrive at each constituent's token's final weights. For tokens with low liquidity, final weights can be smaller than the market cap weights to prevent higher price slippage when rebalancing. On the other hand, for tokens with large amounts of liquidity, final weights can be greater than the initially assigned market cap weights to absorb excess weights. So this is the index weight optimization process. This includes the math. For those of you who are interested in the math, please have a look at that. Let me know what you think. It is fairly detailed. If you do have questions, you can come to Telegram or tweet at us on Twitter, twitter.com/Amun. That being said, I'm not the person to answer some of these questions. We do have a wonderful index methodologist, Sue, can answer some of these. Carson can probably answer some of these. We have another product manager, Cyrus, who might be able to answer some of these as well. Please keep an eye out for these people on social media. Okay, and then we get down to the PECO methodology revamp. So this includes pretty much a lot of the information from this Medium article over here. This talks about the vote as well, and people who have voted. You can have a look at that over here. As I said, it'll be finished 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today, which would be 3 a.m. my time. So if the proposal is passed, PECO Rebalance will migrate to the new methodology as of July 1st, which is tomorrow, right? Friday. So potentially Saturday, you could be looking at new methodology, or Saturday Taiwanese time anyway. So in order to vote, you have to have PECO tokens. I think most of you guys are pretty familiar with that. Come to Discord, Twitter, or Telegram. I will still be awake until 12 a.m. Taiwanese time. If you have any questions about the vote, about voting for PECO, or how to use the snapshot, I'm available. Please come and ask me. Otherwise, let's get into today's news. Now, one of the biggest news when it comes to Polygon's MATIC today is Sandbox deployed land to Polygon. More benefits coming. The Sandbox, an open world sandbox game, right? You guys have probably seen it. Very Minecraft-esque or Roblox-esque, right? Developed by the game studio Pixel, has announced the deployment of land to Polygon through a Polygon bridge. The purpose behind this deployment is to increase interoperability between the Polygon and Ethereum blockchains. So Sandbox is, you can see some of the graphics over there. It is deployed. It was an Ethereum game. It is an Ethereum game, but now people have the option to move to Polygon. For ease of transfer of tokens between Ethereum Layer 1 and Polygon Layer 2, the Polygon bridge is built on top of the Ethereum blockchain as a Layer 2 scaling solution that uses proof of stake. This explains what Polygon is. And most of you guys are already pretty familiar with Polygon, so you would have noticed that you are in the PECO episode anyway. For ease of transfer of tokens between Ethereum Layer 1 and Layer 2, we talked about that. As part of the deployment feature, Sand users will be able to benefit from a land multiplier based on staking, as users need to stake their sand in 2 staking programs, which are to purchase a land in land sales and transfer their assets to the Polygon network. Creating a custom bridge will allow users to quickly transfer their land and sand, and sooner or later users will be able to transfer asset and experience tokens to their smart contracts in the Polygon network. So initially you can transfer land and sand, so you can transfer everything at the moment, which is, I guess, not what I expected. A land is a digital real estate in the Sandbox metaverse. You guys would probably seen famous brands. They open up their own stores or some of stuff in the Sandbox metaverse. Very cool. It's great news. I think this is one of the reasons why we saw Polygon jump up the charts at the beginning of the week. I believe the Polygon price went up to 58 cents at one point. I think we can have a quick look at that since we do have some time. So going back a day, so Polygon was at 52 cents and it's now down to 43 cents at the moment. Yeah, great for Polygon. It was announced. One of the things I do want to mention to you guys as well is I do have a bit of a video that it is the guys who run the Sandbox Metaverse live stream on Twitch, and they had an event earlier this week as well. So this is where they announce what is going on and how to transfer your stuff, and they explain it a little bit. Please head over to Sandbox's own YouTube channel to watch the entire live stream. They have the latest live stream was a few hours ago, and it's about 2 hours long. Please watch the whole thing, subscribe to their channel. But anyway, if you'd like to skip that content, you can please forward your YouTube video or your podcast about roughly about 2 to 3 minutes, and then we will continue to look at Sandbox information.
Piece of news before we get into it. The news. Lucas, you're going to help me out with this here.
Absolutely.
The news bit that we have to share with you is that you can now migrate your lands from the Ethereum main network to the Polygon network. We've talked about this a lot. You guys have asked about it a lot. If you didn't already know, you can go over to sandbox.game and use the bridging system that we have built in for a small amount of Ethereum, migrate over to the Polygon network, and you'll be ready for user-generated content in the Sandbox game. This feature change is good in many different ways, but ultimately will save you a whole bunch of money if you look at it as a US dollars cost basis, because you'll be able to mint to your lands when UGC is ready. And instead of paying the ETH mainnet fees, you're paying it as MATIC, meaning that it's about 1/3 of a penny to mint your changes to your lands going forward. So Lucas is so very nice.
Really excited about this, by the way.
That you were going to mint or make that transfer happen live, that migration. Is that right?
Heck yeah. I mean, only if you want me to.
I'm down. I'm down for it.
All right.
Let's rock this. You guys might see a little bit of a slight degradation in quality because we are going to do this I will live stream his live stream. Typically we would pipe this in a special way, but we decided this just a couple minutes before the show. So forgive me if the visual quality isn't great, but you should get a really good idea of how this process works. And so I am going to pull this up over here right now. Give me just a sec. And you won't have our faces on it either. So, Lucas,
so faces are disappearing.
I'm going to pull the audio up so you guys can still hear us. But also just keep in mind that you won't have our faces so that you can see as much of this migration clearly as possible.
Also, I'd just like to point one thing out. Yes, this will cost you ETH, but something that the Sandbox did that I thought was unreasonably cool was for each land you migrate, they're giving a claimable 10 M sand. So yeah. It cost me about $50 to transfer all my land at the end of everything, and I ended up getting over, like a good amount of sand. Like ended up getting 280 sand in the process. So it more than paid for everything.
Nice.
Times 4 or 5. I'm really bad at math.
So you like profited off of the migration.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's wild, but that's really cool. I agree. I did that. On this account, I had just the one that we're doing for.
So if you're not familiar with Sandbox, one of the cool things with Sandbox is, as you can see by the window in front of me, is the Sandbox has partnered with very famous crypto people like Snoop Dogg and even like the Care Bears, right? The Care Bears, the cartoon I grew up with in the early 90s. Very famous bears, stuff you can buy. Atari as well, Atari from the 80s and earlier, famous Atari stuff. The Smurfs, The Walking Dead, they've got a whole bunch of very interesting partnerships going on and stuff you can buy with sand, and they have the USD prices right there, like a Smurf ship $52.50. So the Sandbox has got a lot going on, and I remember seeing some news as of March of this year. So this is about 3 months old news. I think the numbers would be significantly less, but the Sandbox Metaverse universe hit 2 million active users, which is pretty impressive. That's large, given how much gamers hate NFTs and gaming, and I'm a gamer and I understand why, but that's still good. It's good news for GameFi. We also have one more piece of Polygon news. Polygon Avail launches on Testnet to turn monolithic chains modular. So we've talked about Avail before, right? Avail is another sort of solution that Polygon's going to use to cram more transactions onto the blockchain. They say here, if we want the entire world to join Web3, blockchains will need to handle more transactions. Monolithic blockchains can't scale because they're used to perform too many tasks, execution, settlement, and data availability at once. But if chains were able to focus on just one part of the stack at a time, the entire ecosystem could scale to meet global demand without compromising security or decentralization. Avail modular ecosystem, settlement layer, execution layer, availability layer, and you can see it, this sort of stack on top of each other, which is fantastic. Introducing Avail, a modular blockchain built to scale other blockchains. Avail is an efficient, scalable data availability layer that other chains can plug into. Wow, so this is like the Cosmos hub in a sense. So they can focus on the layers they do best. And it is now launching on a testnet. Avail provides a leap in scalability for the entire Web3 space, and the modular world rollups and data availability layers empower the Ethereum ecosystem to scale like never before. Avail embodies our belief that a modular approach to blockchain design is what will bring Web3 to the masses. I've shown you guys this video before, but please come to the website as usual, right? The links for the podcast and the YouTube channel will be in the show notes. If you want to read this article in more detail or watch some of the videos, please come here and have a look. Avail works by storing transaction data from any other blockchain and proving that the transaction data it holds is available, right? Proof of availability, Avail. It's capable of supporting the storage needs of hundreds of blockchains at once because it is optimized to perform just this function, right? To show proof of availability. While the benefits of outsourcing data availability may not seem to be obvious at first, the impact Avail will have on the space is difficult to understate. Because other layers aren't required to store transactions that have taken place on their chains, execution environments can make necessary optimizations and more easily experiment with improvements. So this means that chains, with no longer having to store a data, they can focus on making themselves faster in other ways. To be explicit, Avail solves a problem that has plagued blockchain development for the last decade, the data availability problem. Okay, Avail, more dApps, more validators, more neutral data layer. This is it right there. A bunch of articles available if you want to Google that yourself. Very cool for Polygon, very cool for MATIC, Polygon. You just have a look at their Twitter. You should be following them, twitter.com/oxpolygon. Another fantastic account to follow because they're always releasing news and interesting tidbits of information. Okay, let's have a look at Gains, which is the other constituent of our index. I can't wait until we do the new episode of our Last Week in PECO show where we have new constituents for you guys. So Gains continues to improve, continues to upgrade. Ignore the number of followers here. Ignore the number of followers in the Telegram. They're a very fast growing, very helpful community. It says, hi everyone, in this article we are going to explore in detail how the new feed types will be calculated after the version 6.1 update. Okay, the goal, remove spot oracle manipulation risk, allowing listing pairs with lower liquidity than currently. So low liquidity is very good. The price impact will be specific for each pair and will also be different on each side, longs and shorts. Each pair will have two parameters, the 1% depth above for longs and the 1% depth below for shorts. It means the open price of all trades will still follow the spot price of the pair, but depending on the open interest on the pair, it will be higher or lower. Okay, so higher for longs, lower for shorts. This gives the example. Methodology to set the parameter. For cryptos, we'll use the 1% depth of Binance, right? So Binance, the largest exchange in the world, multiplied by 2. Since we use the medium spot prices of 7 exchanges, using the 1% depth of Binance only would be overly conservative. Therefore, we apply a multiplier of 2 to it. Okay, examples, accurate at the time of writing. USD, 16 million, 1% depth above. 24 million, 1% depth below. Okay, interesting. Rollover fees allow traders to use lower leverages while maintaining solid risk management for the protocol. Very cool. And this explains the methodology. Okay, funding fees aims to minimize the gap between long and short open interest to prevent a very significant exposure on one side only on any trading pair. Okay, very cool. Conclusion: if you have been using the platform for short-term trades, regardless of leverage, you will pay fewer fees than before. Fewer fees, who's not happy with saving money in this economic environment? This update's purpose is to target new strategic fees at trades that are deemed riskier for the protocol. Extended exposure on one side over a long period of time. We've seen so much news today, so much news in the last few weeks, right, about protocols exposures to risk and leverage and yield and that sort of stuff. It's very good that Gains is being very proactive about this, while significantly reducing existing ones. For example, the closing fee on collateral plus P&L will be reduced from 1% to 0.5%. Also, low leverage will be allowed, more pairs will be relisted, max open interest will be raised gradually, and the maximum collateral per trade will go from $35K to $50K, $50,000. That's pretty impressive. To conclude, this version 6.0 update brings the platform back to life after the severe risk management limitations we've had to put in place after the Luna USD wins, and puts it back on track to reach its full potential. So, right, lots of stuff have happened since Luna and USDT. It only makes sense for Gains to do that. I want to remind you guys, please be safe in the current crypto environment. Read lots of information, do your own research. Don't trust that someone says, hey, I know what is happening, this is what is going to happen, right? No one is God in crypto. No one can predict what is going to happen. I also want to remind you guys to subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the podcast, share it on social media, right? Tag me, twitter.com/AmanKorean, and say, hey, this Korean guy is interesting. He does cool podcasts. He interviews cool people. Speaking of interviews, I'll be interviewing someone next week. His name is Chris Hitchens. He's a miner, very large crypto miner. He does Flux mining. Flux is one of the proof of work cryptocurrencies. They were very big a few months ago. They're not profitable according to the last time I checked whattomine.com, but he comes from a very interesting background. He used to be an investment banker, and now he runs his own mining crypto company, which very much focuses on Flux. And you guys have heard me talk about this on the podcast before, where I believe once the merge happens, it's going to be interesting to see where that Ethereum mining hash rate is going, whether it's going to go with Flux, whether it's going to go with Hero or Ravencoin or Ethereum Classic. There are a whole bunch of options out there. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. It's always a pleasure to do this stuff for you guys again. Keep an eye out for next week. Next week, we'll be back to normal. We'll be doing a last week in DeFi next week on Tuesday, Wednesday, and then the interview with Chris on Thursday, Friday. We have interviews every day of the week, but I'm going to be very strict about them and force them to be on Thursdays and Fridays. And then we will see you guys later.